Hey guys, Tommy Bryson here, and I only wear the hoodie when the video is super serious, okay? So right now we're talking about $100,000 before you turn 30 years old. Now this is very possible, but it's also very hard and very difficult. Now the more impossible something seems, the less likely the average person is going to try to achieve it, okay? It's kind of like how I had my little sister for the first time. I took her bowling. She was all excited. And for the first 20 minutes, I went super easy on her and I was teaching her everything like that. And then when she got super excited and very cocky and was like, "You suck, you're not good," I lit that little girl on fire, okay? I was just strike, strike, strike. You can't handle the truth. And then all of a sudden, she broke. Like, she was not motivated whatsoever to keep trying, because the minute it seemed like, wow, this is massive. This is a massive challenge. Like, the soul just broke inside that little girl. So when I talk about $100,000, it is very possible, but it's gonna take a lot of work. And if anyone out there tells you, well, what's the point of $100,000? It's not really that much money. The answer is, it's a ton of money. Like, the average 48-year-old to 57-year-old has like $48,000 to $57,000. That's all they have, okay? So if you manage to do that before you turn 30 or at 30 years old, you're like 18 to 30, well, 18 to something years, like advanced. Like, basically, you did it a lot more earlier, and you basically have double of what those people have. So don't let anybody tell you that $100,000 is not a lot of money. By the way, please, 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 don't compare yourself to people on the internet that make a bunch of money, or people in books that, for example, made a bunch of money by selling you books and so on. Like, compare yourself to yourself, okay? So use that to thrive. Use other people to motivate you, but don't say, "I'm a loser because I have $100,000 while this person over here, Bill Gates, has billions of dollars. I'm such a loser." Like, don't do that. That's very stupid. And by the way, my big goal was, by the age of 25, I wanted to have $100,000. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have kids. And the price I paid to have my first $100,000 by the age of 22, 23 years old was way too steep, and I would have done it a lot more differently. Although I got there, and by the age of 25, I got to $500,000, which was cool stuff, right? But the price I paid was way too steep, and I wouldn't have mind getting there like a lot slower if I could have gotten back what I paid for, okay? It kind of doesn't make sense, but that's like what it is, okay? But guys, let's get started in this video before we go into this tangent here. In this video right here, I'm gonna give you 3 methods to go ahead and basically save your first $100,000 by the time you turn 30. And by the way, it's not save as in I'm gonna grab all this cash and put it, for example, in a basket or under my bed. No, you're gonna have this money invested and making you more money, because that's the smart thing to do. And we are smart people, and we do smart things. Now, the first way to go ahead and manage to save / invest your first $100,000 by the time you turn 30 is going to be by investing the money in a skill, aka invest the money in yourself. Now, by the way, trying to save $100,000 or invest $100K while you're basically making minimum wage and you have like all these expenses is the equivalent of you trying to swim underneath the water, like deep, with a safety jacket on. Like, it's not gonna happen. It's impossible. It's not going to work. That thing is gonna hold you up, and you're not gonna be able to go as deep as you actually want to. The thing is, right, the more money you make and the better skills you actually have to earn more income, the easier it's going to be to you to actually get up there, okay? So for example, by the way, it's not just income, but it's also your needs and the things you spend money on. So if you make $1 million a month, but you spend like $999,000 on your pretty wife, the answer is you're broke. Okay, but if you make $3,000 a month and $2,000 a month, for example, and you spend like $1,000 overall, and you can save $1,000, the answer is you're pretty good, because you're saving half your income. And the more money you make, the more you can basically save. So the idea is, it's not just your income, but your income is going to help you a lot dramatically, because there is a baseline on how much money you're going to have to spend on rent, utilities, groceries, and transportation, and healthcare, and everything else, okay? So obviously, the biggest investment you can make is gonna be in yourself. So whenever I used to hear about, for example, college, trade school, certification, and waiting 2 years or 4 years to actually go out there and start working, I used to think, well, this is a big waste of time. But today, I got a few more brain cells in my head, so it doesn't seem like that. Because in reality, think about it, okay? If you can go to college or trade school or get certified in something, right? And it takes you 2 years or 4 years. And while you're doing that, obviously, you got a job when you're working. Don't say, I can't study and work at the same time. You're not trying hard enough. And by the way, when I used to say that, I was studying, right? And just playing video games all day and talking to my friends and spending my money on trash, okay? So it's a big excuse. Like the time is there, you're able to actually do that. And by the way, if you're able to work, pay for school, and have some savings, those savings are gonna add up some money, for example, to your goal to $100,000. Like saving 50 bucks for 5 years every single week, that's like $10,000. If you invested at 12%, that's like $13,000. The answer is it adds up. You get to 10% of your goal before you even go ahead and graduate. So that's pretty cool. But the idea is, if you can go ahead and graduate with a $70,000 job or $8,000 job, that's a lot better than making minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, which by the way is a fact. Look it up on Google. Or for example, making 15 bucks an hour like in New York and so on. But the idea is, if you can make 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 an hour, that is going to make a massive difference than just trying to live off a little and then invest the rest or whatever. No, if you can upgrade your skill. And by the way, when looking for something to do, as far as a job or a skill, look for something you like, you're good at, and it's gonna make you money. If you don't like it, you'll be miserable. If you're not good at it, you won't be good at it. Okay, that's just obvious, it's a given. And if it doesn't make you any money, then most likely it's a hobby. It has to be this really cool thing. So take time to figure out what exactly it is you want to do. And don't go to the fancy schools. Don't go to the fancy certification places. Go to the place that offers you the most money, the best connections. And by the way, by most money, I mean scholarships. And apply for all the scholarships possible. Have a job to pay for school. So now let's say, for example, you're 26 years old and you're broke with no money and you need to be by 30, you want to get $200,000. Well, if you're making $70,000 a year or $50,000 a year, the answer is you can get there pretty easily by just taking aside $20K a year, but that's only because you have a salary that's above average because you invested in yourself. So the answer is it's okay to go to school, get certified, go to trade school, spend some time there, because that way you're gonna make a lot more money and be able to basically save and invest a lot more overall. Just don't be a dummy and put all your money into, I need a fancy car, I need to have this house, I need to, for example, get this credit card stuff. The answer is no, take it easy and just avoid all that debt stuff, okay? That's the idea. Now, the second method is obviously the most popular way, and it's gonna be via investing money into the stock market. Now, by the way, whenever you hear investing money into the stock market, think about, for example, investing money into companies, okay? Now, if you're not smart enough, like 99.99% of the population, to actually learn how to analyze an entire company from top to bottom and compare it to its competition and know how much money it makes, the employees, the culture, and if it's gonna be around for the next 10, 20 years while you're gonna be around here, the answer is it's okay to just invest into index funds. Now, that's the way I invest. Now, when you invest into an index fund, you are investing into a bunch of companies all together. So whenever you put money into it, if a company goes down, that company will be replaced. So for example, you ever heard about the S&P 500? Those are the 500 largest companies located in the United States of America. So whenever you invest into that, you're investing into America. So Tesla is a part of that. Amazon's a part of that. Google's a part of that. Apple's a part of that. So whenever you put money into that, you're putting money into all those companies. And guess what? If those companies goes bankrupt, it's probably because another company is coming and is going to be a part of that group. So naturally, you're also going to be investing into those companies. You take on a lot less risk. So my investment strategy is going to be, and is till this day, to invest into index funds, to be very diversified. So that way I don't lose my money. I'm invested in the US with the big companies, the US with the smaller companies, outside of the US in developed countries, also in emerging countries, and also into real estate. And I can do that all via the stock market. And I have a link down below to M1 Finance. If you click that link, it shows you exactly what I invest my money into. Now, a big thing is, okay, don't be a dummy. When you are working and you have a job, the best investment tool is gonna be retirement tools, okay? So that means if you have money that's coming in, Do you put your money into an individual taxable account, which is just like a regular taxable account, or do you put money, for example, into a retirement account like a Roth IRA or a regular traditional IRA? The answer is put it into the Roth IRA. It won't give you a tax benefit as far as, for example, well, I invested X amount of money, so for my tax return, they're going to take away X amount of money as a deductible. You don't need that right now. What you need is money for the future. So you're going to be investing your after-tax dollars, meaning you've got paid this money, you pay the tax on it, and whatever is left over, you'll be investing that much money into your Roth IRA for investing, and then you put that money in there. That money grows fully tax-free, but when it's time to take it out, you can take it out without paying any taxes whatsoever. So overall, okay, let's put this into perspective. If you want to do this, for example, in 10 years, okay, the goal is I want to get to 100K in 10 years, and making 12% is fine. And by the way, my rule is whenever I'm investing like 10 to 20% of my income. If I pick 10%, I'll do 10%. If I pick 15%, I'll do 15%. If I do 20%, and I have been doing 20% for the past few years now, the answer is you stick to what you pick. Don't go all the way up, have to come down. The answer is better to start off, for example, small and build up to it. And before you start investing, make sure you are debt-free except the house, and also have a fully built emergency account so you don't have to sell your investments because something happened in your life, okay? You don't want to interrupt these investments. It's the only way they grow and make you money and make you wealthy and get you to the goal of $100,000, okay? But to get there in 10 years, okay, I use a website. It's called Savings Goal Calculator. If you could Google that, and I have my editor show you the whole screen thing right now, but Google Savings Goal Calculator, you click the Gov link, and then, for example, if your goal is to save $100,000, and you start off, for example, with just $1, and you're going to be making, for example, 12% on this money, and you're going to do it over, for example, 10 years, the answer is all you need to invest per month is going to be $474.85. Now, that means that's not really a crazy amount of money. I mean, if you want to do 20%, maybe you got to be making like at least like $2,400 a month to do 20% and to be able to invest this much money. The answer is it's not that much of a crazy amount. And most people, they're spending $500, $600, $700 on car payments. So if you're able not to do that dummy stuff and do this instead, the answer is in 10 years, you'll have $100,000 exactly, because the math is how it shows, okay? But you have $100,000 overall by just investing $474.85 per month in that portfolio that I told you about. But remember, right? Everything fluctuates and it's over time. You might even have more money, you might have less money, but the average is you're gonna be making around 11 to 12% over the next 10 to 20, 30 years. That's the idea. Now, if you wanna be kind of crazy and you wanna do it in 5 years via the stock market, of course, investing, for example, into your Roth IRA, you'll have to invest around $1,311 per month. Now, if you follow the rule of no more than 20% investing, you need to make around $6,555 per month. That's a lot of money. The average person doesn't make that much. But if you do make that much money to invest this much money, the answer is I would max out first my Roth IRA. Well, first I would do this, okay? First, I would max out whatever free money my company gives me. If your company has, for example, a retirement program, and then with the rest of the money, I would max out my Roth IRA. And then if I have any more money left over, then I could put that, for example, into my individual, normal, taxable account. Okay, that is the idea. And that's how you can do it. Or just max out, for example, the 401k and the Roth IRA. But that takes a lot of money and a lot of income to be able to actually do it. Now, that's one way, okay? So far, I've given you, get a skill, invest in yourself, you make that much money, set the money aside, you invest it, boom. Then I also gave you, for example, investing into the stock market. Over time, you build up to it, and you'll have that money there in 10 to 5 years, depending on how you want to do it. Now, I do have some advice. I know people, they like to start off something super crazy, super excited, then they get burnt out, then they stop altogether, okay? Don't do that. You know, I've become a runner over the past like a few months or so, and what I know about running, for example, a half a marathon or a 10K or a 5K is that if you start off way too fast, you will not make it to the end. So it's very important you pace yourself. It's more important to start off slow and build up than to start off like a speed demon and then not be able to make it till the end and give up midway? So the answer is, it's okay to take your time, do it over 5 years, and if you have extra money, then build up to it. Now, the third and final way here, and by the way, if you made it all the way to this part of the video, I want you to comment down below 100K, just 100 and the letter K, so I know you're a real person and that you made it all the way to this part of the video. But it's by building up equity and building up, for example, your net worth. You can actually build up to a $100,000 net worth by doing this, okay? Because your $100,000, it doesn't have to be, I have $100,000 in my investment account, or I have 100K in my cash account, or whatever it is. I had a competition with a friend of mine who could get to 100K first, and he would not forfeit until I had 100K in cash. And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, there's $100,000 here between this and this and this and this. Like, the money is here. I win. No, you gotta have it all together. Like, that's just stupid. You don't need to do that, okay? So overall, okay, if you have no debt, that should be your first goal, excluding the house, and you have, for example, not a retirement account. If you have, for example, also a emergency account, that's a part of your net worth. So if you have 3 to 6 months worth of your emergency account, that's a part of your net worth. So let's say you have in there like $10,000, $8,000, $3,000, depending on how much money you spend. Well, that's a part of your number, okay? Then you have, for example, your investments. Now, again, if you try to max out your Roth IRA by investing $500 per month, 20% of your income, the answer is at 12%, you'll have around $117,000. That's the number I was saying before, but this is the number I'm telling you now. You have $117,000 in 10 years by investing $500 per month. I mean, that is awesome. So you already get there with your investment account. But on top of that, if you're only investing 20% of your income, you have leftover income to go ahead and buy a property. So let's say, for example, you buy a $200,000 property, you put down 10% of this property, it's no more than a third of your monthly income, so no more than 33% of your monthly income between taxes, insurance, PMI, maintenance, and everything else included in the property. The answer is, you know what happens and by the way, you also get a 15-year mortgage. Well, with this math and this logic, well, in those first 10 years, you would have built up an equity around $107,000, and you would only owe around $72,000. So roughly, you have a net worth of $152,000, not including, for example, your emergency account and any cash you might have in hand built up. Okay, so the answer is you can build this up via net worth by buying a property and everything else. Now, there is a hack which a lot of people won't do, but it's cool. And I talk about it in my course, link down below. You get $100 off if you use code YouTube, I think it is, but the link is down below. You'll see it, okay? But the idea is, if you are investing 20% of your income for retirement, if you have no debt and you have a fully funded emergency account, you obviously have extra money to put towards your mortgage. And if you do things correctly, you put down 10 to 15% of your income every month to pay it off faster, then guess what happens is that in the next 10 to 7 years, you'll be done with your mortgage instead of waiting 15 years. And instead of doing, for example, the 30-year mortgage like the average person, that's why they never get to the point that you're going to get to so fast, okay? But the answer is, in 7 to 10 years, you have a fully paid off home. So you have this asset that's worth $200,000, and you also have the assets you have into your investment account that's around $117,000. So overall, you have like $317,000 in net worth, and all you wanted was $100,000 in the first 10 years, or by the time you turn 30. The answer is, this is very possible, but it's only possible if you, for example, you don't buy $1 million house or $500,000 house with a 70 to 80K income. The answer is, you take things easy and you do them step by step. That is my advice on how to get to $100,000 by the time you turn 30. So obviously, I would do it in that order. You focus on no debt, obviously, having a fully built up emergency account. But most important, before you start investing in the stock market, invest in yourself. The more money you're able to make doing something you actually love to do, that is going to be awesome, a massive head start. And then you start investing in and trying to max out your Roth IRA, and then you start building up to having a down payment for a home. 10-20% suggested down payment, that's awesome. You buy the home, a home that's properly adjusted for your budget and for your income. That's awesome. You try to pay it off in 7 to 10 years, and in 7 to 10 years, whether you are, no joke, whether you're 30 or 40, with a $300,000 net worth? The answer is that is still impeccable. That is still amazing. So don't let any YouTuber out there or social media posts out there tell you, well, you have $300,000 in 10 years, but I have $1,000,000 by doing this one thing. The answer is be realistic. So to do this puts you at the top 10% probably of your age group combined, okay? And that is awesome. Don't trust that stat because I did not look that one up, but I can almost guarantee you're gonna be at the top tier of your age group as far as net worth by doing this in 10 years. But remember, it's going to be hard, but it's not impossible. It's going to be challenging, but not to a point where you're gonna be like my little sister crying, saying, "I just don't want to do bowling no more because I hate it because I set her on fire." Okay, but that's the idea, guys. Okay, thanks for watching. Comment down below 100K so I know you're a real comment. And if you have ideas, if you have questions, then comment them down below. But remember, okay, invest in yourself. That is the biggest return on investment you're gonna have. The investment you make in yourself. Okay, guys. As always, follow me on Instagram. Tell me Bryson. Up here is another video. Here's my face. Click subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially out. You know, the truth I'm wearing this hoodie is because I ran out of laundry.